finally, we're going to actually graph some of these equations that have been changed in terms of their vertical position. Okay, and we'll talk about how to graph an equation that has been that has had a shape change, but right now we're going to just graph the change in the vertical position. And so what you see up here is our steps are we got to graph the vertex. And again, the unchanged vertex is at 0, 0. And then we're going to use our over-up chart, or something that we sometimes call the step pattern. Okay, and so the step pattern, or the over-up chart, is used to identify where the other points on a parabola are relative to the origin. Okay, and so this step pattern is used for the parent form of a parabola. In this case, y is equal to x squared. So the over represents your x values, and the up represents your y values. And so if we're going to change this, we need to actually use our step pattern. So we know that with the basic equation y is equal to x squared, that the origin is always at 0, 0. So I can put in 0, 0. So if I want a quick way to be able to graph it, I can take a look at my step pattern, and I know that from the origin, the first step in the pattern is I go over 1 unit to the right, and then I go up 1 unit. So I go over 1, up 1, and then I put in my second point. I then go from the vertex again, I go over 2, up 4 units. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and then the next step is I go over 3 units from the vertex and up 9 units. Okay, and you'll notice that I've just done this to the right-hand side. But parabolas are U-shaped. That means they mirror each other on both the right and the left side. So the step pattern applies to both the right and the left side as well. So if I went over 1, up 1 on the right-hand side, I need to go over 1, up 1 on the left-hand side as well from the vertex. And from the vertex, I got to go over 2, up 4. And then from the vertex, over 3, up 9. Okay, so if you can remember the 149 pattern, that will allow you to create a parent form of a parabola very quickly. Okay, and so we're going to use that skill in order to graph our parabolas. So we know that from the parent form of the parabola, always starts at the origin. If we look at the next example here on the right-hand side, we've got x squared minus 3. Okay, remember that k value has changed. Okay, so we talked about the basic equation y is equal to ax squared plus k. And when the k value is a negative number, it actually shifts the vertex down by 3 units. So now the vertex is no longer going to be at 0, 0. The vertex is actually going to be at 0, negative 3. Okay, but we're still going to be able to use our over-up pattern because the a value hasn't changed at all. It is still positive 1. So I can still go over 1, up 1. I can still go over 2, up 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And I can still go over 3, up 5. Okay, in order to make my parabola. So what I'm going to do is now I'm just going to connect my dots. So again, when you shift the k value, you either shift the parabola up or down. Okay? So let's continue on. Let's take a look at this example. Now we've got y is equal to negative x squared. Okay, so the k value is the same. That means that the parabola is still going to start at the origin. The only thing that has changed now is now the a value is actually negative 1. So in our step pattern, what we need to do is we had 1, 2, 3, 1, 4, 9. Okay, we're actually going to multiply all of our y values by the a value. So we know that the a value is -1. So a equals -1. So if I take -1 times +1, then I get -1. If I multiply the a value of -1 times the 4, that gives me -4. And if I take the a value of -1 times 9, then I get -9. So the shape of the parabola hasn't changed at all. All I'm doing is actually flipping it. So now instead of going over 1, up 1, now I'm going over 1, down 1. Okay? And instead of going over 1 or over 2 from the vertex up 4, now I'm going over 2, down 4. And then over 3, down 9. Okay? So using the same basic pattern of the step pattern, I'm still able to graph my parabola. Okay? And then the final example here that we have on the right-hand side is y is equal to x squared plus 2. Okay? So again, the a value is unchanged. It is still +1. Okay, so it's still the like in the parent form, but the k value is +2. So the vertex is no longer at the origin. It's no longer at 0, 0, but it is in fact shifted up by 2 units. So from the origin, I move it up 2 units, and now my a value is the same, so I use my over 1, up 1, over 2, up 4, over 3, up 9. Okay, so I'm still going to use my step pattern. So over 1, up 1, from the vertex, over 2, up 4, again from the vertex, and over 3, up 9. Okay, and so I can draw a line that connects them in order to actually graph it. So as you're graphing parabolas, okay, which is something that you'll have to do, you will need to be able to identify what is the a value, what's the k value, and know whether or not the parabola is going to be changing in shape, if it's going to be changing in direction of opening, and if it's going to be changing its vertical position.